Think about someone who was really into you at some point. Maybe a friend, maybe someone you were dating, maybe a coworker you clicked with instantly. They reached out first. They remembered the small details. Being around them felt easy and exciting. And then, slowly, without a single argument, without any clear turning point, they drifted. The messages got shorter. The energy changed. And now you find yourself wondering what happened. Here is the hard truth. People losing interest is almost never random. There are specific reasons it happens. Patterns that push people away quietly, predictably, every time. And most people never find out what they are. So the same thing keeps happening in relationship after relationship. Today, I'm going to show you 6 of those reasons. Not to make you feel bad, but because once you understand them, you can actually do something about it. Let's start. You became too available. At the start of any connection, there is a natural energy, a kind of pull. Something feels new, a little uncertain, worth pursuing. That uncertainty is actually part of what makes things exciting. But some people, the moment they feel a connection, switch into a mode where they become completely available. They answer every message within seconds. They rearrange their entire schedule for plans. They say yes to everything, every time, without hesitation. And here is what happens. The other person stops feeling the pull. Not because you did something wrong, but because there is no space left for them to miss you, wonder about you, or want more of you. Everything is already given, all the time. Availability is not the problem. Being so available that you disappear as an independent person, that is the problem. When someone can predict exactly how you will respond, exactly what you will say, the curiosity fades. And curiosity is what keeps interest alive. The fix is not playing games or pretending to be busy. It is actually being someone with a full life, someone who has things going on, priorities of their own, a self that exists beyond the relationship. That is what people stay interested in, not the availability, but the person behind it. You stopped being interesting to yourself. This one surprises people, but it is one of the most common reasons interest fades, and it has nothing to do with the other person. When you first connect with someone, you usually have things happening in your own life, things you are excited about, working toward, curious about. You talk about those things, and that energy, the energy of someone who is genuinely engaged with their own life, is magnetic. But over time, many people slowly let their own life shrink. The relationship becomes the main event. The hobby gets dropped. The personal goal gets postponed. And without realizing it, you start showing up as someone who is only interested in the other person, rather than as someone who is interesting themselves. People are drawn to people who are going somewhere, not in a career sense, but in the sense of someone who is alive and growing and curious. When that quality disappears, when conversations shift from "here's what I'm figuring out" to "here's what I need from you," the dynamic shifts. You cannot pour interesting into a relationship that you are not bringing to yourself first. The most attractive version of you is the version that has a life, that reads, tries things, fails at things, wonders about things. Keep that person alive. That is who people fell for in the first place. You needed too much reassurance. There is a pattern that looks like caring, but functions like pressure. It goes like this. Are you okay with me? Do you still like me? You've been quiet. Did I do something? Are we good? These questions asked once in a while are completely normal. Relationships need check-ins. But when they happen constantly, when every silence becomes a worry, every delayed reply becomes a threat, something shifts. The other person starts to feel like they are not in a connection. They are in a job. Their job is to manage your anxiety, to reassure you, to prove again and again that they still care, and that is exhausting. Nobody sustains interest in something that costs them this much emotional energy. The deeper issue is that reassurance does not actually fix the problem. You ask, they reassure you, you feel okay for a few hours, and then the anxiety comes back, and you need it again. The reassurance is a painkiller, not a cure, and over time, the person being asked starts to understand that nothing they say will ever be enough, so why keep trying? What actually helps is learning to sit with the uncertainty of not knowing where you stand, and trusting yourself enough to handle whatever the answer might be. That kind of groundedness is deeply attractive. Constant need for confirmation is the opposite of it. You gave before they were ready. This is the one most people never talk about, and it causes more confusion than almost anything else. You meet someone, you feel a strong connection, and because you feel it so clearly, you give generously, emotionally, with your time, with your attention. You open up fast. You invest early. You treat them like someone who is already deeply important to you, and they pull back, not because they do not like you, but because you moved at a pace they had not caught up to yet. Connection between people develops at different speeds. When one person is already deeply invested and the other is still in the early curious stage, the intensity can feel like pressure, even if nothing you did was wrong. The emotional weight of "this person is really in it" can feel overwhelming to someone who is just beginning to explore whether they want to be in it at all. What often happens next is painful. They pull back to regulate the pressure. You interpret the pulling back as rejection and give even more. They feel even more overwhelmed and they drift further. The cycle moves fast. The answer is not to give less of yourself. It is to let the pace of the giving match the pace of the relationship. Let the connection earn the depth. Give in response to what is already there, not in anticipation of what you hope will be. You stopped challenging them. People need to feel slightly on their toes in a connection, not uncomfortable, but slightly stimulated, slightly uncertain, slightly growing. Some people, in their effort to be liked, remove all of that. They agree with everything. They never push back on an idea. They adapt their opinions to match the other person's. They smooth every edge. And what the other person ends up with is a mirror, someone who reflects them back rather than presenting something new. That feels good briefly, but humans are designed to be curious about difference, not sameness. When there is nothing left to discover, no surprise, no disagreement, no perspective they have not already encountered, the interest naturally fades. Challenge does not mean conflict. It means having real opinions. It means saying, "I actually see that differently sometimes." It means being someone who grows the other person by being genuinely, unmistakably themselves, rather than a version of themselves designed to be maximally agreeable. The people who hold long-term interest are not the easiest people to be around. They are the most real. They bring something. They take up space. They make you think. Be that person. Not the one who fits perfectly, but the one who is genuinely, sometimes inconveniently, there. They were never that interested to begin with. This is the one nobody wants to hear, but it is the most important one to understand. Sometimes the pull you felt was real. The warmth was genuine, but it was also, from the beginning, shallow. They were interested in the idea of you, the novelty, the excitement of something new, not in you specifically, not in a way that had any depth to it. And when the novelty wore off, as novelty always does, there was nothing underneath to sustain it. No real curiosity about who you are, no investment in building something, just the initial spark, which had already been used up. When this is the case, nothing you did caused it, and nothing you could have done would have prevented it. There was no version of you, more available, less available, more interesting, less intense, that would have kept this person around long term. They were not built for staying. Recognizing this pattern and releasing the self-blame that goes with it is one of the most liberating things you can do. Not everyone who shows interest is capable of sustaining it. That is about them, not you. 6 reasons. And the honest truth is, most of them come down to the same thing. People stay interested in people who are interesting to themselves. People who have a life, a perspective, an identity that does not dissolve into whoever they are connecting with. You do not need to become someone different. You do not need to be less warm, less giving, less open. You just need to make sure that while you're investing in others, you're also investing in yourself. Here is your one thing from today. Think of the last time someone lost interest in you, or the last time you felt interest slipping in a relationship. Which one of these 6 was at play? Just pick one. Just notice it honestly without judging yourself for it. That noticing is already the beginning of something different. If this video was useful, share it with someone who needed to hear it. Subscribe for more. New video. See you in the next one.